It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
If you are trying to protect yourself, if you are trying to prepare for that next market crash, we already said step one was understand risk and get that right on the front end. Step two was understand diversification and how that plays over the long term in a portfolio. Well, step three is a really important one. Yeah. Step three is to know your unique financial personality. What is special and unique about you and the way that you look at money and finances?
We're back to what I talked about to set the show up: fear and greed. And look, all of us, we're all different. You know, we were created where we got a little bit of a different shaker full of different emotions, different talents. And some of us, we love harder than anybody, but we're angrier than others. We're very emotional people. And then some of us are just even, I had a friend that I was like, this guy should be in the military because he's just cool through any situation. I mean, his hand would be just straight as an arrow on everything. He does construction and bidding and road work, and he's super successful because I just don't think the size of the numbers and the zeros he deals with, they don't freak him out. Whereas I would be worried about making any mistake on a job that big, but he just handles it. But the typical person, you need to know who you are, because I have a perfect example to share. I had a client come to me, a prospect, in 2002. And y'all realize we showed a chart. 2000 to 2002 was a horrible time to invest. We had the dot-com bubble burst, and people were scared to death. And this prospect comes to me, and they say, I just can't lose money. But you've got to help me to minimize because I'm just scared of myself. I get so worked up about this. So I put together a nice diversified portfolio. We put the money to work. Well, guess what? It's 2003. Market goes crazy because it's in recovery mode. This same client who came to me a year earlier telling me that they're scared to death, that they don't want to lose any money. It's like, Brian, I think we could kick it up a notch. I'd like to get a little bit more of that upside. And this is the emotional roller coaster that I see. You don't know how you're going to handle this stuff until you've actually experienced these ups, these downs. But be very aware. If you are an emotional person and you find yourself that when the market's down, you're like, get me the heck out of this, or when it's up, I need more, you need to take that into account in your plan.
Yeah, what you just described, Brian, the exact thing that you described was what we call the cycle of market emotions. And we all succumb to this. Your unique personality determines how severe you succumb to it, because we all go through the excitement phase. The market's making money, it's moving in a positive direction, and then it even becomes thrilling. And then we reach euphoria and think, holy cow, I can't believe my army of dollar bills has gotten this big. I can't believe it's grown this much. I can't believe I've been annualizing 16, 17% for the last decade. We start to all fall into that place. Well, then we see a little bit of crack. We see something a little bit, and we're like, oh, it's okay. We're long-term investors. But we get a little bit nervous. And we start thinking about, man, I'm feeling a little bit anxious. And that anxiety turns into fear. And the fear turns into desperation. The desperation turns into panic. And then if you don't understand your personality, you're not positioned in the correct way for your unique self, you reach that capitulation point. That point where you just throw your hands in the air and say, oh my goodness, how could I have been so dumb? How could I have ever done this? And then this cycle repeats itself, and you make bad decisions at the top, at the point of maximum financial risk, and then you make bad decisions at the bottom, your point of maximum financial opportunity, and you repeat that cycle over and over again until you get into the line thinking, man, I never actually was on this wealth building journey.
So this illustration that we show is timeless. We've seen this on paper. We've used it for over a decade now. We just different, snazzier looking versions, but the data is always the same. What I love that we had Daniel do is he took this exact data points of what the roller coaster participants look like, but he actually put it on our time and history of, this all goes all the way just back to 2018. It's not even that far back, but you can see the emotional roller coaster we've had with thinking about coming before pandemic, post-pandemic, and how people rode off the cliffs, how they rode it back up. Because here's the other part that I think we all need to understand about cycle of market emotions. Market timers see that cycle of market emotions, and they just assume that the financial markets are just a roller coaster where it goes up, it must come down, must go up, must come down, and they just think it's a very predictable cycle. The reality is, and I've given this analogy, and we could have put this slide in there because I've done it. the market, just as this illustration from 2018 to 2020 shows, is that it's more of a volatile walk up the mountain with a yo-yo. And the fact that, yes, markets in the short term will go up and down and go through cycles, but because of the expansion, because of the innovation of technology, we are going to higher and higher ground every decade that you stay an investor. You just need to make sure you're there for the long term, that you actually get the next new high that's coming, that you don't chicken out, and because you don't have your goals aligned with your risk profile and you bail out before you've even finished the journey.
And so one of the things that you can do, again, this is part of knowing yourself, is you can put rules in place to keep yourself protected. One of the easiest rules for those who are still in the accumulation phase of their journey is always be buying. We love dollar cost averaging, not just over a short period of time. We love dollar cost averaging over an entire financial life cycle, because what it does is, if you're maxing out your Roth IRA, if you're putting money into your 401k, if you're funding your after-tax account, it allows you as a financial mutant to change your mindset to think, you know what, if the markets are going down, that's okay. I'm buying in at lower and lower levels. I'm getting a good deal. I'm getting a good deal. If the markets are okay, are going up, you're thinking, that's great. I'm making money. I'm making money. I'm making money. It is a best of both worlds approach. And if you can think that way, it will prevent you from trying to get too excited in the ups or too scared or desperate in the lows. And it will keep you on a steady path, assuming that you've gotten the risk right on the front end.
Yeah, I would. That's been my financial mutant skill set. I buy no matter what's happening out there in the marketplace.